So I'm Jessica Rogers, and I am a senior here at Rowan with a major in area studies and history, and together I have 4 minors. Area studies is a major that definitely has a passion for a place. Area studies for me is in the area studies, Asian studies concentration, but there is also Central American studies and European. And what it really gives to people is not just history or not just literature. It's a little bit of everything from language to political science. For me, it was learning about China, learning about Japan, the history of India, and how they all culminated together right now in our climate in 2022. There were so many things that I didn't have the tool set for that area studies could teach me. I learned a language. I learned the benefits of political science and why it's important. I learned the literature from India, Afghanistan, China, Japan. I've learned who they are, not just from a history book, not just from a piece of paper, but people. The most important thing that we have, the people who write everything down, the people who talk. The most important part is people. So for me, area studies and history balanced each other to give me a historical context and a modern outlook while still understanding cultural and relative sensitivity. I took a class called Museum Studies, and originally I was just a history major. You know, I figured all I wanted to learn about was historical stuff from a long time ago. And Museum Studies puts into perspective why it's important now. I built, along with a team of people, a museum display. I learned that there are laws to protect things because they're not just artifacts, they're not just dusty old mummies. These are relics, these are people. And ultimately, knowing those things sparked in me just an extra bit of curiosity. Well, what about this thing? What about, if they have laws for that, but not that? Or the political climate of the British Museum and the Elysian marbles versus in Greece. And it makes you think. History isn't just all the way back in the past, it's right now. And even the history that happened 1,000 years ago still matters now because people are still fighting over it. My dream job is 100% making people happy. Teaching people, maybe not in a teaching setting, but rather in a community center or a museum. Anywhere where, knowledge can become power, can become freedom. Knowledge is one of those things that if we understand our past, if we understand what and who we come from, it's much more easy to see the future. So for me, I want to make a place and I want to make an environment where people can learn easily and fun and hopefully in a way that they never forget. That ultimately for me is the dream. Area studies has opened up doors for me as a person with a big dream. It gave me a skill set to understand internationally. What is the climate? Why is it important? How can I be involved or how can I be in the conversation? And how those conversations coalesce into what becomes the future. Whether it's international law, international relations, language, political scientists, historians, all of these things, come from an area studies perspective because the more multifaceted your learning can become, I think you're better off than pigeonholing yourself in something small. Cultural studies, political science, history, it's people. And that's the most fascinating thing you could ever ask for in area studies, is it doesn't just teach you a dusty old history book. It doesn't teach you about, wars or a language. It gives you a aspect. It gives you a point of view. And honestly, it lets me know who I am from my perspective. I think the biggest piece of advice to ever give freshmen is to breathe. We think college is one of those things that, we have to get it over and done with so we can get on with our lives. It's the next step into our future. We have to do it well, and we have to do it right the first time. But I failed an entire semester at one point. I had so much going on. My mom got cancer. I had 40 hours a week at school, and I went, you know what? College is really important, but so is my family. And I failed, and I felt like a failure. And that was my freshman year at college. And I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I did. So to all those incoming freshmen who are worried about the rest of their lives, just breathe. This is the rest of your life. This is part of it. Pushing yourself towards a future is a wonderful thing. Always dream about what you want to do and find ways to achieve that dream. But don't forget that the present is just as important as the past and your future. So now I work at an internship under Dr. Duke Bryant for the Area Studies major as a whole, and I work to create a better sense of understanding, a better skill set, and a better source of resources for incoming students of my future major. And ultimately, I am a research compiler and a public relations intern is my title. Area studies as a whole is very new here at Rowan, and I would really like to see it thrive. As a brand new major, as a historical major around the world with some of the biggest and brightest universities offering it, it's fantastic to see Rowan do it. So area studies, hopefully, in the next coming couple of semesters, we'll see new posters, new library guides, new scholarship opportunities, and new internship opportunities that could benefit them, give them a leg up in their communities and in their jobs, to ultimately give them that, extra step that we can do at Rowan to make them career ready.